Good morning, Waves. It's good to be back. Here's a little number you might know as this. Generals gather in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death construction, death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
I should have been the first to know I was going to lose my job. Instead, I was the last. Let me take you back 10 years in time. I just graduated from Security Guard Academy, and I was on my way to a better, brighter future. But on the way, I stopped off and got a job at my local Asda. Things was fine for a while, until the first month, 42 armed robberies took place, all under my watch. But my employers were very fair. They did not give me the sack. Instead, they brought in additional help. I'll never forget that day. A nice gentleman came down from London and gave a speech before cutting a ribbon.
For too long, the British security guard has been all on his own, completely unequipped to deal with crime, left to rely only on his quick wits, all-seeing eyes, and dauntless courage. But now all that's about to change with closed-circuit television, or CCTV as they call it in jolly old China. What say you to that, Mr. Guard?
Well, it'd be nice to have a partner, I suppose. I'm sure CCTV and I'll make great friends, eh? Hey, great friends. Hello? Great friends, eh? Because if I'm sitting here and I've got my hands full, which I normally do, that rarely happens when they're empty. I've usually got my phone in one or the other. But if I'm in that situation, I can always look to CCTV and see if some ne'er-do-well's taken it into his mind to shove a chocolate bar in his trousers.
Well said! And now a great Asda welcome for CCTV!
Enter applause. Trusted by the world's leading brands.
So things were all right for a while. CCTV and I got to know each other a bit better, until one day, 712 instances of shoplifting, all by the same group of little skateboard kids, and all under my watch. Now, they could have given me the sack right then and there, and I would not have blamed them. I would have, but that would have been wrong. No, instead they brought in more additional help. And I'll never forget that day either. The nice gentleman from London came back down and gave another speech before he cut another ribbon.
For too long, the British security guard, like this chap here, has been all on his own, completely unequipped to deal with crime, left to rely only on his quick wits, all-seeing eyes, dauntless courage, and closed-circuit television. But now all that's about to change, with the door that goes bing, bing, bing when you're trying to walk out with merchandise you've not paid for. What say you to that, stout yeoman?
Well, I've always fancied being part of a crime-fighting trio. I mean, there's only so much CCTV and I can do on our own, being the eyes and all. But now, with the door that goes bing, 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 we'll have ears as well.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And now please welcome the latest addition to Asda's security family, the door that goes bing, bing, bing.
Applause utilizes a human-centric approach to ensure software quality.
And again, things was all right for a while. Me, CCTV, and the door that goes bing, 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 all working together as a team. Until that one day. 96 armed robberies, 25 murders, 19 rapes, and someone even nicked 3 lorries full of cabbages and socks, and all under my bleeding, useless watch. Now, had I known in advance what I was going to let happen under my watch again, even with the help of CCTV and the door that goes bing, 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 I would have given myself the sack, if I'd been my own employer and my own employee, and I was on the right drugs. But I was not. And they did not, my employers at Asda, give me the sack, because they believed in me. They weren't going to let me slip through the cracks. They said there must be something security guard in him somewhere. and it kept me on. But they had to bring in even more additional help. And I'll never forget that day either. The nice gentleman came back down from London a third time, and he gave a third speech right before he cut a third ribbon.
For too long, the British security guard, like this chap here, have been all on their own, completely unequipped to deal with crime, left to rely only on their quick wits, all-seeing eyes, dauntless courage, closed-circuit television, and the door that goes bing, bing, bing. Well, now all that's about to change, thanks to facial recognition software. How does that grab your balls, lick spittle?
Well, Squire, I don't know if it was Cicero or Little Mix who said 4 heads are better than 3, where's that piece of paper you gave me? Yeah. But I welcome facial recognition software to our Asda security family.
Straight from the urchin's mouth. And now, without any further delay, please give a big Asda welcome. Security family. Facial recognition software.
What a team we made. A happy few, we band of brothers. Me, CCTV, the door that went bing, 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 in facial recognition software. Until that one day, geezer walked in with a scowl on his face. Didn't commit no crime, just came in with a scowl on his face, like he weren't having the greatest day, as it were. He came in scowling, and he left scowling. And he slipped right through my fingers. I nearly had him. This time there were no additional help brought in. There were no nice gentlemen coming down from London again to give another speech and cut another ribbon, no. Later that day, I was in the break room, sharing a pint and having a fag with CCTV in the door that went bing, 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 when in walked in facial recognition software. And I was not having it that day, and he weren't either. And facial recognition software walks up to me, and he says, "Why didn't you recognise that bloke with the scowl on his face?" And I said, "It's not my job, you fucking China cunt!" And he took a picture of me doing that, and as a result, I'm no longer allowed into Asda, either as an employee or a customer. Now, I started this little vignette off by saying I should have been the first to know that I was going to lose my job. Instead, I was the last. Don't let the same thing happen to you. And this has all been a character study, and I hope you enjoyed this. It's been a few days since I've done a video, and I'm actually going to pause to get a little. I hope you liked that. I was trying to say something about how we're all kind of. We need to watch being replaced by the machines. And I told you how many times the BBC doesn't care about this kind of shit. You have to do something simple, like simple topics. Like, have you ever eaten popcorn? What's funny about a pen? Go back to the drawing board. Simplify. Be right back. I'm gonna get some coffee, and I'll see you shortly. I know my teeth are bad. I'm one of those people who lives through a plague and hasn't had time to visit the dentist, so I know my teeth are bad. So I'll be right back. And welcome back. I'd like to start off, we're going to move from Asda to Co-op, because the people at, my friends at Co-op said be sure to plug Co-op, the local Co-op. And the reason I haven't done that is because, well, first off, I didn't know until recently they'd been watching these videos. Which is funny, my girlfriend came in and she says, they said down at the Co-op, make sure to mention Co-op in your videos because you're always going after Asda and all this other stuff. And the reason I've left Co-op alone is because that was the one I was talking about before the whole facial mask mandate came down. That was the one I thought I'm going to go there because the woman that works in Co-op from the very beginning of this has been very vocal about thinking this whole thing's bullshit. She said from the very first day, she was saying, it's all about shutting down the economy. And that's, I've mentioned this before, that that loudness about her opinion, is what kind of, worst comes to worst, I'll just go to co-op, because nobody knew what the hell was going to happen before that mandate came in. And from the very beginning, she's been vocal about it. And it's not the whisper kind. It's not like, I get the feeling this is not, it might be something about the economy. I just don't say anything. Please don't say anything. I get the feeling this, I wonder sometimes. I'm not convinced one way or the either, but from the very beginning, just like, yeah, it's about shutting down the economy, and that's not, and I had no idea they'd seen these videos. And so I always left out co-op because I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. I was like, I don't want to say, who knows, the Stasi are watching saying, okay, target the co-op and all that because they're not. And, but I've been dropping hints that, I've got an ally at a shop somewhere in this town. And my girlfriend came back a couple of nights ago and she said, they said down at the co-op, be sure to mention co-op in your videos because you're always mentioning Sainsbury's and Tesco's and all this other stuff. And I had no idea that they were watching them. And I went in the next day. And so I don't know if they're watching this, but I came in the next day. It's a mother and son that work there. And they said, hello, Mr. Franken. And apparently they've been calling me Mr. Rothmans for a year now because of the Rothmans. And I love it. And they were I was really touched. They said some very complimentary things. And I said, the reason I haven't mentioned you guys is because I still don't know if I didn't clear it with them about mentioning their names or not. So I'm going to err on the side of them, not being okay with that. But I am mentioning co-op, that there's a friendly co-op here, and they were very complimentary about the videos. And I guess what happened was I came up as a suggestion on one of their channels, and she said, she goes, you come in here for a year and you never plug anything, you never promote, and I thought that would have been weird to, there's a bad enough reputation that Americans have anyway, with self-promotion. I think that would just be weird. I got a YouTube channel. Yeah, man. That's why I do the tea cakes, tea cakes and Rothmans, man, because it's another video day for me, man. Yeah, I do a lot of comedy in California, man. It's a very laid back place. It's really cool, man. But I love it out here because Benny Hill, man. That to me was like, he took it to the next level, man. What's the I can never get over the chip thing too. So I never play. Well, I'm not a promoter anyway. That's I'm not shameless like that. If I figure make some good stuff, and if people see it, they see it, and if it's a small group of people that see it, that's cool. And if it's a big group, that's cool too. And to be honest, I like a smaller group of people. It's nice. It's like we're having a bit of a natter about what's going on with the world, and I don't really know what's going on with the world. I finished recording all the dialogue for Paradise Lost Book 9, which is twice the length of all the other books. So that was a lot of acting, and I had to direct my girlfriend as Eve because she returns as Eve to eat the apple and I to follow. And that's basically been. And then in the evenings, I've been revisiting The New Statesman because I want to talk about this Rick Mayall film. There's a film. His last film was called One by One. I don't know how many of you guys know this. This is one of the things we found out in this year of the great lie. The year of the great lie. And there was a great lie upon the land. We were worshiping the sun god, and all of a sudden it turned out that somebody else owned the sun. So indirectly, we were worshiping Dominic Cummings or whoever the fuck owns the sun now. I hear these weird stories. I mean, the stories get weirder and weirder. They're DARPA and the weather. And I don't know what to believe anymore, but I think that was the effect they wanted to have. Or maybe it wasn't. No, you are supposed to believe something. You're supposed to believe it's a deadly virus. And you're supposed to, and in England now, you're supposed to, as of Monday, you can only have outdoor meetings or gatherings or pub people or anything or households with 6 people. We're going to go from 30 to 6 because I think Piers Corbyn got arrested too many times with the 30 rule. So there's no more protests now. We've got all the Black Lives Matter out of our system. We burned up a lot of good energy with that protest. We got out there. We burned up. We what's the exercise word? What's that? The carbohydrates. We what are the things when they jog? What do they call that? We released the endorphins. Whatever. Health talk. What was I talking about? Let's go to the song. In the olden days, everyone got along. In the olden days, everyone got along. Until Satan
landed on the earth and said, can we have that vaccine ready by November? This is why I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I saw this story in the BBC, was it yesterday, that Trump and Biden exchanged insults over the vaccine. So I thought, look, is this about him not believing in a vaccine? Because I haven't been watching the news from America. I mean, that's like for weeks now. And that's why I haven't produced a video other than that little Elon Musk clip, which I hope you enjoyed. You know, the reason is because I've been doing Paradise Lost and dealing with that eating of that apple and the recording and the directing and the editing and all that stuff. And I'm taking a couple of days off now just to regroup before I attack the soundscape for book 9. 90 minutes in length, that one. And like a triple album. But I looked at the Trump and Biden story, and Trump was saying, it is, he's making it sound like America's going to lead the way in the vaccine, you know, and he's just spouting the vaccine nonsense, like 5G. We're going to be the first in 5G, and that's it. Once I saw that documentary by Derek Brose of Conscious Resistance, I thought, that's pointless. It's if that's your attitude, if you can't distinguish between the Wi-Fi companies and the small mom and pop business, then that's a fucking issue now in the great virus year of the great shutdown of the independent small business. So, you know, wrong. And you're wrong here again with vaccine, because some people are smart and they're nervous. You know, how optional is this thing going to be? And my girlfriend and I are going through the options, like how are they going to try to enforce this vaccine? Because I don't know. They bought, in this country, they bought 340 million doses for a population of 60 million or thereabouts. Obviously, they're going to want somebody to take it, right? What if nobody's interested? In the olden days, you didn't have to do what the government said. In the olden days, a Tory was a Tory and the cunt was he. So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing Paradise Lost during the week, and then in the evenings rewatching The New Statesman, because the Rick Mayall film, that's what I wanted to talk about. That's one of the things we discovered. And my girlfriend discovered this on a comment thread, a link to Rick Mayall's last movie, which I didn't know what it was, but it was called One by One. And you can find it on BitChute. Now look at me talking all computer now. You can find it on BitChute. And BitChute, that's where you go to find a BitChute. And it's this film called One by One, and it was Mayall's last film. And I don't want to give it away, obviously, but it deals with these things that my eyes are awakening to. My eyes are awakening. 3 yawns, 1 from my mouth and 2 from my eyes. Do eyes awaken? I've had too much poetry this week. Maybe they do. What the fuck was I talking about? In the olden days. What the hell? I totally lost that. But do I want to give up and let me do this. No, Rick Mayall's film. One by One. And I won't give it away other than to say at one point out of Rick Mayall's mouth, he says the words, New World Order. And it's kind of I wouldn't say the movie's a bit of a red herring, but the film starts off as a bit of a kind of like a young girl trying to find her way in life. You know, she's got a bad boyfriend. It looks a little lighthearted, and then it gets into these conversations where and Rick Mayall was always a hero of mine, and when you see some of the things that I don't think he would have been able to do you wouldn't be able to do a movie like that had he not believed in the overall message of the movie. And it was released shortly before he died, and I don't want to get down that road about how he died or whatever. I remember where I was when he died, and what big news it was for somebody who was a big fan of his. But that last film, which didn't get any publicity, promotion, whatever, is called One by One, and it's available on BitChute. And it's not left and it's not right. This is the age we're living. If you're coming out of this, this new year, whatever, this 2020, and you're still thinking left, right, is he right? Is he left? Yeah, but they're all a bit left there, aren't they? But Yeah, but I heard he wrote some right stuff. He did, but he was also left. If you're still thinking like that, man, you're about as useless as a pair of tits on a man. I mean, that's from like 20 years ago. Different times. Different times. Here's a country American version. In the olden days, a man had no tits and a woman had some. That was a little hillbilly comedy there. But see one by one. And I'd like to know what you think, or how many of you have seen it already, and that's what prompted me to revisit The New Statesman. And I'm watching it, that's probably The New Statesman. That's probably not fiction as much as it was back then. It's probably, calling of the elderly, all sorts of stuff that we had a good laugh back in the late 80s and early 90s with Rick Mayall and The New Statesman. But yes. So that's what I've been doing. Just Paradise Lost, New Statesman, Paradise Lost, New Statesman, and now I've got a couple days off, and I wanted to start off with some comedy. So I hope you've enjoyed that little sequence. I've got to cut that together later, and then I'm going to close with another sequence. But I just wanted to catch up with you guys and say thank you to we've got a new patron as of just a couple minutes ago. So let me thank him by name. That's Russell. Thank you very much, Russell. And somebody wanted me to plug a protest in Scotland, and I missed that. I thought I would have time to do another video between now and then, and I wasn't able to. But well done to all the protesters in Edinburgh. And so there's another protest somebody wanted me to mention here. That's Alexander again, a patron at patreon.com/Will Franken. First off, there's a petition which I haven't checked out yet, so I'm only going by Alexander's recommendation here. I haven't, but there's www.stopnewnormal.net, and there's a petition there. I think that's about the vaccine. There's actually a submission to a 3-week consultation ending on Friday, 18th of September. I must look into that later. I do apologize. I've been so slow on this stuff. And the other protest is the 26th of September, which I believe is also in Trafalgar Square. And the details are on the website, again, stopnewnormal.net. And Alexander says, there's some sort of peace rally the weekend before, the 19th of September. But the anti-vaccine one and all this other nonsense we're living through is the 26th of September. Oh, Superdrug, our offers of the month. What are you offering? Is it something? Can I get mask cream? I want to get some hand sanitizer for my mask. And do you have little hand masks? What are those called again? Gloves. Yes. Oh, hold on a second. That's a call I've been waiting for. Hello? Yes, yes, okay, so you're not the Test and Tracy people? Well, I was wanting to see, that's a lovely name, by the way. Is your name Test and Tracy? Listen, I was wanting to see, how do I get that app? Oh, really? So I can just automatically, with an iPhone update, it will just give me the app. Oh, that's convenient. I've been wanting that for so long. Yes. Now, I also wanted to ask about the vaccine. Is there a waiting list? Because I wanted to be like kind of really close to, because I've been waiting forever for the vaccine. Oh, yeah, that would be so kind of you. A waiting list? Yes. My name is Jonathan Stupid. Yes, Jonathan Stupid. Yes, it's a piss take. Ha! Suck my dick, motherfucker. I have to. That was the second time I've done that joke. I apologize. The Jonathan Stupid sequence. The first was for the patrons. I tried it out on the patrons. They said go for it, and hope you enjoyed that. The Rick Mayall thing. Who knows? It's just interesting that so many of us this year have had our eyes opened in a lot of ways. Like, I never liked globalism, but then for some reason, terms like New World Order, I didn't doubt that there was a New World Order happening, and that this was a global control thing. But then I don't know how to describe this. As far as calling myself a conspiracy person, let's just be honest. I guess I had a bit of a prejudice, right? Maybe because I lived in San Francisco for so long, and there were people that you should read my book on the government. I've got a book on the government. It's self-published. Here, hold on, I'll get it for you. It's everything I know about the government from an ex-yoga instructor who's really in the know. Maybe that was it. And so that kind of prejudiced me, And then this fucking virus happened. And then this idiot said, and then they took the XL Center and they called it an emergency hospital. They built the XL Center overnight. They raised it like the demons raised Pandemonium, the palace in hell in Book 1 of Paradise Lost. They just up it sprung. No, they didn't. They said no more trade conferences while we put some beds in. Oh, and is Prince Charles ready? But I'd like to open the very plan from the British one. The British one trying to cut the ribbon. With the plan, the first Nightingale Hospital for health lives on in England. God bless the NHS, know that came before. She, the NHS ship, sails in the rainbow. Well done to all frontline people. That's not Prince Charles at all, is it? I didn't even try with that. I'd have to hear him again. But I remember him cutting the ribbon for this virtual hospital. What is this about? This makes no sense. Matt Hancock, the health secretary, the dashing health secretary with his hair neatly combed, or what little he has left of it. I shouldn't talk. Look at that. I got yarmulke baldness already. What am I, crazy? By the way, man, this anti-Semitic guy on the video before, this guy leaves a comment and he writes, owners of major corporations and figures in the media and their religion. And then he lists all these names, Jewish. And then at the end, he has the cheek. This idiot has the cheek to write, personally, myself, I have nothing against Jewish people. You're fucking idiots. You're so stupid. You could sit there. I could do the same thing with atheist, right? Dominic Cummings, atheist. Who else? Jeffrey Epstein. I'm atheist. I mean, Jewish background, atheist. Not really a God-fearing man, Jeffrey Epstein. Kind of a god unto himself, an atheist, right? But Jewish. Just some things I'm noticing here. Jewish. Bill Gates. Jewish. No. And then at the end to say, well, personally, I have nothing against Jewish people myself. It's just something I thought I'd point out. I was sitting in my room in my yellow-stained underpants, and I thought I'd count the number of Jews. Just saying. This fucking world sometimes. That stuff is slipping in an age where people are talking about eugenics now. I remember at the beginning of this year, my girlfriend and I were talking about how the word eugenics was popping up in places like The Spectator. And all of a sudden they were talking about embryonic selection, and it's called progressive eugenics. And then later on down the year, this guy Matthew Perry from the what was it? The Telegraph. Is it the Telegraph? Or the Times? No, the Times of London. He writes, we can and must put a price on human life. I don't care, man. This is about death. Beautiful death. So what if a few people die going to Mars? As long as it makes us driverless cars. You have to accept you will die one day. So make that day now. Take the vaccine, even if it hurts. Even if it makes you the property of someone else. Take the vaccine. Do your bit for the NHS. They got this ad. What the hell is that? Talking to your dog. Well, there's an ad for the NHS now. It's one of the cute little animations. There's always a cute little animation now. Everything's got to have a cute little animation. And it's an animation of people having their medicines delivered. You can help the NHS by having your medicines delivered and avoid trips to the pharmacy. And they use the word 1 million, or they use the number 1 million. And it keeps coming back to this 1 million. And maybe you've seen this on YouTube. Usually with Sky News, if you click on Sky News to watch it, that'll be the first advert lately that pops up, this cute little ad. And it says, it's 1 million. It's, we delivered over 1 million medicines to people this year. That's over 1 million trips to the pharmacy, not taken. They do a better job than I do. at their bullshit. That's over 1 million trips not taken to the pharmacy. That's over 1 million chances for the virus not to spread. Help the NHS. Have your medicines delivered. Man, and there was a story about robots in care homes, and they managed to find the only old people who like robots. That's the key. You unleash these China robots. They're not fucking around. That was a story yesterday. Robots are in care homes to care for the elderly. And what they do is they find, just like they did with the Manchester bombing, they found the one parents who wanted to turn the other cheek. Find the one parents who aren't fucking angry as fuck that their kids have been killed, and find that, hey, we just want to, like, because, life is life, and, people do bad things, like, now's the time more than ever to cry and have an Ariana Grande concert. That's what you find them. Just search and you'll find. So unleash the China robots in the midst of facial recognition software at Asda and Snoopy apps and everything that's going right now. Release the China robots onto the care home population. And then search high and low for that one old person who's like, I don't like these fuckers. You're not fucking human, you cunt. I ain't stupid. I ain't stupid, you fucking China bot. Fine, you have to search high, but there'll be one old Bill Gates wannabe. Sorry, it's about time. It's about time. I long to see this day. I tampered with robots in my youth. That was back in the day. A robot was essentially sort of what we call a lost in space sort of thing. Not like Lucy here. Lucy has glowing, realistic skin. No, and I was never coupled with a woman in my youth. Those rights always went to the firstborn. I was the youngest child, so I was not allowed to have a woman. But now, in my age, as my age gets more agey, I find that this Chinese robot can fulfill me in the ways that the human flesh couldn't. I'm just a prisoner of what they sell me in a way that the human flesh could not prevail. Man, is this too hyper today? So I plugged Co-op. I plugged the protests. I guess that's the 26th of September. They're going to have a repeat, but it's going to be hard because the law is now, or as of Monday, only crowds of 6. So I guess if you really took the government at their word, you could kind of have 6 in one place, and then 6 maybe somewhere else. And then I guess, as long as you don't give up, I guess if you just kind of make your voice heard, in a moderate way, I mean, we may not be in time to stop the vaccine, but maybe before they blow up the earth, let's say, the tech people. And just get together in groups of 6, nothing wrong with that, Trafalgar Square groups of 6. And then go over to King's Cross with another group of 6. Or maybe in Nottingham. Or maybe have one group of 6 in Ireland and another group of 6 in Brooklyn. And make your voices heard. You'll sound like, do some doo-wop. Get together and start a band. Okay. Have I gone off the rails? I think I need to freshen up my coffee. I think that's what I need. I mentioned Rick Mayall. Let me freshen up my coffee. It's gotten cold. And we're back on the morning program with Kathy and Kathy and Kathy and Kathy and Kathy and Kathy and Kathy. To be honest with you, I haven't plugged into what's going on with the world, as I've mentioned before, other than scanning the headlines at the beginning of the day and then moving on with the poem. And I'm utterly shattered. But the things that I do remember happened since we talked is the U.S. is announcing the 1st of November for the vaccine. Thanks to Alexander, we know that there's another protest in Trafalgar Square, I believe, happening on the 26th of September. I hope that's Trafalgar Square, but do check that out. And stopnewnormal.net. And I'm going to check out that petition later. What else took place? Uh, Somebody said there was a story in the Telegraph, and I must talk about this because this goes back to the bullshit culture war. That one of the first things you have to realize with this culture war thing is that the people involved in it don't want it to end. So just like Black Lives Matter never wants racism to end. You see, it's Al Sharpton has to keep this going forever because he has to keep getting money. That's his shtick. That's what he does. He profits off of race, right? That's what Al Sharpton does. This similarly with the other side. I don't know how many times I've mentioned this, and I hate. I feel like I'm browbeating people with this, but I also feel this is one of the subtler aspects of what's going on and how they keep us stupid, right? So this side does this, and then this other side comes in. That's your spiked. That's your battle of ideas. People with Claire Fox, the child abuse apologist, Baroness now. I mean, that's why Keir Starmer doesn't hit him over the head with that. I don't know. He should hit him over the head with that every fucking day. I don't know why he does. You know what? What are you going to do? You can't look to a leader now anyway because they're all compromised. But he has been giving him some bitch slaps, Keir Starmer. He has. He slapped him around, Johnson, a few times. But, the day that remember that he was accused of being an IRA sympathizer? He had it in his hands. He could have said, you just fucking made an IRA sympathizer a fucking baroness. And where was he today? Why is there not more testing? Why is there not more testing? Fuck, man. Stop it. And then Trump over there with the vaccine. We're going to have the best vaccine. It's going to be ready before the election. You better stop freaking people out, motherfucker, and understand that there are religious people, there are New Age people, there are all sorts of people in the world who are freaked out when you say things like it's going to be ready before the November election. You see, it's fucking nerve-wracking. So my girlfriend and I were talking about that. Like, how do you think that they're going to enforce this? Are they going to do it like the Australians, where they've been putting people in masks? And I wonder if the British aren't going to start bringing Australian police. This is a job for the Australian police. You all right, mate? Yeah, we could use your help, mate. Yeah. Right, what's the problem here? Pregnant women writing Facebook posts, eh? And then meanwhile, they're just trying to kill you with politeness here. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. It is a government, sir, for Queen and country, sir. It is out of my hands, sir. It is called a mask mandate. It is there for a reason. The science and the data and the guilt that is involved without following it. There was a story that popped up that said the coronavirus sadly affects deprived areas, and then they're going to lock down Bolton. Now, to me, Bolton is Fred Dibner. It's the steeplejack. Do you like that? That's Fred Dibner. That's poor working class northern town Bolton. And I can imagine these fucking Etonians wanting to get tear down Bolton, and put the big HS2 welcome center. Welcome to China, China in the north. I can imagine you fuckers wanting to get your hands on Bolton. Well, leave it alone, you greedy land-grabbing cocksuckers. So the missus and I were talking, how are they going to enforce it? Because nobody is reassuring anybody that it's optional. We never hear that. And of course, this will not be mandatory. It'll be an optional vaccine. That's why we're using all the major big pharma people in the world and spending all this money. It will be an option. It'll be an option for people to take. Very optional. It'll be the most optional thing in the world. It'll be more optional than your hair color, let's say. Nobody's saying anything like that. So we were just kind of pontificating. How will they enforce it? And we didn't come to any conclusions, but I did say that I hope that they will go the two-tier society route. I mean, I don't want them to go to do anything, but I'm convinced they're going to enforce this fucking vaccine. And my hunch is they'll do it through the two-tier society, that you can't go to the restaurants, you can't travel freely, or whatever. And that's what I say. I hope out of all the miserable options that they will choose that one, because you and I said to the missus, you and I, we can get by. We're used to, we can eat rough and we can sleep rough if we have to do it. It's the shit where the cops come in and Like in Australia, 7 cops forcing masks on people. And from the very beginning of the mask mandate, that was one of the things I was wondering, like, what will eventually happen if they really push this? Will it get to a point where the police can actually force a mask on your face? Australia, in that continent and country, has answered that question on their end. On their end, yes. They're saying, yes, if it comes down to that, we will force a mask over your mouth. How long before, and the British government here is working with this Australian guy now, who popped up, back to the culture war, right? Because that fits in with the culture war. Because this Australian guy, apparently he was a homophobe and a misogynist. And all of a sudden they've got him working at number 10 or doing something for number 10 now. Tony Abbott. And his sister came, his sister said she was a lesbian. So his sister is saying, he was the kindest brother in the world. There's not a homophobic bone in his body. I don't think anybody has homophobic bones. Even a homophobe, I would be convinced, does not have homophobic bones. He himself may be homophobe. Or she. There's female homophobes. I think there's about 7 in the world today. But I don't think anybody actually has homophobic bones. My skin's homophobic, but my bones say otherwise. Hey, ride 'em, cowboy. But his sister pops up and says, I came out as a lesbian. He was the great. I hope I'm not misremembering this. I swear she said she was a lesbian. I came out as a lesbian. He was so supportive. He's a very supportive brother. He's not homophobic at all. And I thought, did he go to his sister before? Maybe his sister was straight. This Tony Abbott. Maybe his sister was straight. And he went to her and said, you want that £50,000 for that extension? I need you to come out of the closet tomorrow. What about my husband? Don't matter. Come out of the closet. Get that friend Rachel and do an appearance and talk about what a great supportive brother I've been all these years. But really what that story is about is this stupid culture war, because there's still some idiots who think this is 2019. And even in 2019, those idiots thought that it was 2016, right? And so in that Brexit Trump thing, a lot of fucking nasty people came out of that. I hate to say it. I supported Brexit. I voted for Trump, but a lot of fucking people came out. Yeah, you know what? I don't want the fucking darkies come in here and do what. A lot of fucking people came out of the woodwork that I gave the benefit of the doubt to. And I called myself right wing because I believed in God. I believed in God. I believe in the right to free speech and the right to own and bear arms in the United States. And I don't know, perhaps it might be an idea that catches on elsewhere. I don't know. Maybe Australia. Maybe it'll catch on out in Australia. Maybe people will realize the value of a Second Amendment out there. Maybe they'll skip the first entirely, just go right to the second. This was so important. Our second comes first. Our Second Amendment, not Australia. Our Second Amendment comes first. That's how important that is. It goes 2-1. We had to have the guns first, then we got the free speech back. But that's why I was saying I was conservative. I believed in education, especially getting education out of the hands of the elite and bringing it back to everybody where it belongs. Being judged on merit and your talents. All these, and there were a lot of nasty fuckers who were just disruptors, and Comedy Unleashed and Spiked Online and Claire Fox, the Baroness right now, and all those fuckers were part of that and heavily invested in just, look at what he said. It was that trigger, snowflake, trigger. And really reducing the dialogue that we should have been having. Really preventing the Great Revolution and the Great Renaissance in their own way. Preventing it as they are now. Because I keep coming back to this. Does anybody, after what we've seen this year, orders being handed down to us that come from people that are outside of this government, that are being handed down to us through these puppets, like the mask thing. If the mask thing is so original to the leadership here and their great minds coming together and the great scientists of this country putting their heads together with the politicians to come up with the mask rule, thinking it out. If it's so original to this country, why the fuck in Sedalia, Missouri, my hometown of 19,000 in the middle of the sticks, why did they get the same idea there too? Because you people are not the fucking leaders. So the first thing you need to do is fuck right off. Fuck right off, because this is not forgivable. We can't turn around and go, yeah, but I'll tell you what, at least the toys are right when it comes to snowflakes. It's done. That whole fucking conversation is done. The moment you step in, you fucking call the elderly, you juggle death statistics, you force masks on people, you spend all this fucking money after destroying the economy on a vaccine that you didn't even bother asking the people of this country if they fucking wanted. You go. And in your absence, we're going to find out who the bigger fuckers are that control you, and they got to go too. And then we're all back to a real revolution. Yeah, they're stopping a real counterculture from being seen. Because they're making everything about some stupid opinion. You know, like the migrant thing, right? Like, 45 boats in the boats in the channel, they're coming over here. Coming over here to what? You think this is Britain? Have you not been alive this year? You think this is Britain? Facial recognition software in Asda. And one of our patrons, Ken, and I did this for the Sunday video, but one of our patrons, Ken, at patreon.com/WillFranken, he actually, because I've been talking about this Asda software, this facial recognition software. It's my first interaction face-to-face with facial recognition software. So that was the last time in Asda. And Ken, what does Ken say? Did he put in this one? He wrote to the Asda service team to basically ask them why is there facial recognition software, and they said, "Hey Ken, just on the back of this, we do have face detection software in our cameras to detect facial features and highlights when these features are seen." You know, which is boilerplate, right? In other words, we have facial recognition software to recognize faces. These features are used as a deterrent against theft and violence in stores, and no facial images are retained or processed. Now, how do we know that? How do we know that? Because sometimes I get this thing pop up that says, your internet service provider could be stealing your information. Pay us £79.99 for advanced security. You know, and if you get caught off guard, you'd be like, what are they going to steal my Paradise Lost? You know? But then you think, oh, this is a shakedown. This is the mafia, the cyber mafia. You know, you're vulnerable to attack. Yeah, we could offer a little protection for you. $79.99. We'll give you all the. It's called a dot matrix binary system code. What it does is it algorithmizes everything and makes sure your system software go up to the server. Not bad for £80, eh? Tell you what, for £120, we'll throw in an extra DNS delocator internet modulator for you. If you know, I'll tell you. Used to be mechanics. That was hard. You go to a mechanic and you had to know something about cars and you look stupid. You mean it needs a whole new engine? How much are they going to cost? Not anymore. Not anymore. They can tell you all sorts of voodoo. And you're like, so, you know, that's what they say. These features are used as a deterrent against theft and violence. Now first off, let's talk about why that's not true. Because I could go, which I'm not going to because I'm not patronizing any company that cares so little about their fucking employees after the great economic shutdown that they got to get in more machines. Fuck them. And they go to the dragon lady from China. And she said, we have a very interesting software. We'll detect the images of violence. Violence in face. And here's how worthless that idea is. I could go in, which I'm not going to, but I could go into Asda every day and I can go up to the machine and go, you fucking cunt machine, you fuck machine, and never commit any act of violence for 30, 40, 50 years, for the rest of my life. No act of violence, and even an act of violence on that machine. Don't even swing at the machine. Just look at it and go, you fucking digital cunt, right? And never commit an act of violence. And a sociopath could come in, completely neutral expression, go home that night and chop up his mother with an axe. So therefore, where would that how did that, used as a deterrent against theft and violence? Now see, they could have me pegged as a really violent guy. And I said, no, I'm allowed to feel whatever I want to feel against machines until you pass the Machines Are People Too Hate Crimes Act. Mr. Whoever is running the weird world right now. Because I tell you what, man, the whole snowflake trigger thing, look how sensitive the fucking Tories are. Negative. I talked to my local councilor. He said it was too negative. I said, don't you think Westminster's gone off the cliff? No, of course it's not going off the cliff. I mean, if you're doing something and it's not working, what do? Do you keep going that direction or not? Well, that's what they're doing. They're turning around. They're turning around is what they're doing. You can drive off the cliff. I said, well, yeah, but they would know that there's a cliff right there first, wouldn't they, before they got in the car and drove towards it, if they were really that fucking smart. So I was trying to he was the only politician I've talked to so far in this whole thing. It started out because of I'm trying to understand, because you approved these fucking luxury homes. Help me understand. Maybe I'm stupid. Take into account that the only hospital in this town is being turned into 9 luxury homes. Was there a deadly pandemic that was taking the lives of people all over the country, or does the only hospital in a town of 40,000 need to be turned into luxury homes?
Well, the thing is, we were worried that we would overwhelm the NHS.
Well, obviously you weren't too worried, because they're turning the only hospital into 9 luxury homes.
Well, we didn't overwhelm the NHS, so that was good. We thought we were going to overwhelm the NHS, but the NHS was not overwhelmed, and that was good.
So therefore, you overreacted.
No. We acted thinking that the NHS would be overwhelmed, but luckily, the NHS was not overwhelmed.
I mean, fuck is that? I'm not stupid. And you know what? The people that you take taxes from are not stupid either. It's just, I guess it might be difficult to care after a while. If that continuously happens, like in the New Statesman, if it is day in and day out, with this bollocks. But a couple people sent me an email because they got a new commissioner at the BBC. And there was a story that turned out to be fake anyway. It was, and I don't doubt it was the Comedy Unleashed people, the Spike Lot or whatever. They threw this story to the Telegraph because the Comedy Unleashed people have connections at the Telegraph and connections at the Spectator, and sometimes they had them on their fucking stage to perform. You let me write a piece for your fucking shitty journal, I'll let you on my shitty comedy stage. Hey, buddy. Right? And that's how the truth gets written, right? They invented the safe space story for Konstantin Kisin, right? This fucking hack comic. And they invented this, the cancel culture's descending on us. And they puffed this up out of nothing. That's what they're good at. And they don't want the culture war to end. And why would they? Because they have no principles. In the wake of all that, then they're like, oh yes, we're just another Black Lives Matter. We're keeping everybody lateral and stupid. And we're saying, shake your fist at the migrants. Get back to and you don't realize, man, we've got grown people wearing Spider-Man masks. We have far bigger fish to fry here. You divisive little pricks on both sides. So this new commissioner takes over, and those fuckers feed the Telegraph some story about how there might be more right-wing comedy at the BBC. They're going to shake things up and get them out of this old lefty stuff. So when I first saw that story, I thought, okay, this sounds to me like the government. The BBC wants the license fee from the seniors who are still alive after the great cold in the care homes. The ones that are still alive, the BBC loves so much they want to milk them for their license fee. That's been a big story out here. And the government, it looked like from that article, the government was saying, as long as no more stuff making fun of us. It's about time. For too long, it's been making fun of us. And now that we're in power, don't make fun of us. Those are the fuckers you got to watch out for. The ones that have this. Like, now we're in power. Now, once you're in power, that's time for your head and your heart to be in full operation like wise King Solomon. Now's not the time for you to go, now we've won the war, we want to rub it in everybody's face. And you want Brexit done? Well, fuck you, and this and that, and we're chopping down this and killing this and fucking that, and eugenics this and AI that. Win, 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 win. To what end? To what purpose? We don't know. We just won. What was I talking about? Yeah. So they sent me that article. And I guess they're not following the recent videos where I'm saying, I don't know how anybody could live in this year and give a fuck about Brexit or even the presidential election, because there's no candidate anywhere that's saying we've been had by the big tech and big pharma creeps like you wouldn't believe, and I'm going to free you up from all this coronavirus emergency legislation, Stifle the Mouth Act, you know, and the inject this and shove this and put this and manipulate this. We're getting rid of all this shit. And no candidate anywhere is saying anything about that. In fact, Trump is saying the opposite. He's saying our vaccine's coming first, and we're going to blah, blah, blah. Well, that's it, man. That's done. So somebody sent me this, and I guess they think it's, you know, they said, you know, you should try to get a show. Now that this guy's, you know, so this is a non-story. I'm not, you know, I haven't thought about a show. I don't think I've ever thought about a show. There were brief flirtations or whatever. Once I realized how shallow the people in television and all television, radio, whatever, like here and in America, once you discover how shallow they are and how little they actually want creativity, it doesn't matter what political stripe. They don't, at the end of the day, there's right wing and left wing in that fucking industry, and they've got no fucking talent, nor are they on the lookout for it. So it really wouldn't matter. You'll give them you'll give them the same bland right wing shit as you did the bland left wing shit, because you think old people will pay for that, because the last thing you want to look for is talent. You know, and that, so there's that, but then there's also, I'm not, you know, for years I haven't thought in terms of a show. I've thought in terms of, I want to do enough live gigs that I can do what I want on the stage and pay my rent. And now that, you know, it's no more gatherings of 30, and I haven't had a gig since March, and that was the one that got me banned from Comedy Unleashed, because I tried to expose who those fuckers were. Eugenicist, as in Toby Young, the nepotist, pay for play, give me some space in the Spectator to write my little culture war stirring the fire shit, you know, so I can get Black Lives Matter angry, or Black Lives Matter can get me angry, so I can write some shit like that, and let's play that dog and pony show, you know. But who can live in this world right now and think in terms of right and left? It just baffles me. There's something much more profound going on. It's like a battle for the human soul, isn't it? There's so many ways to define it, I suppose. But they sent this, and I didn't respond. I just said to myself that I'm not thinking of a show. I'm thinking of finishing this poem, which I hope to have done by the end of November. So not as early as the vaccine. The vaccine will be out first. It'll be world-beating. A world-beating vaccine will come first, but then Paradise Lost will come shortly after. My production of Paradise Lost, using what limited means I have. The other day I told a neighbor, I said, to me, I think it's the equivalent, with my own modest technology that I have here, the equivalent of 12 Pink Floyd double albums, and only using the words of Milton. That's ambitious. But, you know, listen to it with a good pair of headphones when it comes out. And the patrons will get the dialogue for Book 9. They've been getting all these in advance, and I've been getting some really good feedback. So God bless you for that at patreon.com/Will Franken. But I've not been thinking in terms of a show. I'm thinking, get that poem done. Get that poem done and put it out there as your statement of the year 2020. It's got everything in it. You know, this Orphean descent into hell, out the other side, moments of creation and destruction, but at the end of the day, the manipulation by an evil force of the word freedom, the abuse of the word freedom. You know, Claire Fox, how free is Claire Fox, the Baroness? I always go back to her, and I should, because she was big in the news recently. Because when Boris Johnson said Keir Starmer was an IRA sympathizer, you know, I wish Keir Starmer would open his fucking mouth up about the virus thing, but he won't, and that's why we can't look to any leaders anymore. They're worthless. From this point on, they're worthless. But when he says to Keir Starmer, IRA sympathizer, and everybody that day said, I've been looking into who you just made a Baroness, This woman actively worked with the IRA, and she gets 313 fucking pounds a day of English taxpayer, UK taxpayer money. But how free is she? Now, she hosts the Battle of Ideas, the Academy of Ideas, the Culture War, along with her propagandist at Spiked, Brendan O'Neill and all those fucking losers, and their little entertainment arm of Comedy Unleashed, and their friends that book them at Sky News. See, that all I mean, this is conspiratorial, I know, but it does all connect. These people all know each other, and they all book each other. Spectator publishes Andy Shaw and Andrew Doyle's pieces on political correctness, whatever, and they have them on the stage out there, and the Sky News team books them on a regular basis, Claire Fox including. And that's how the truth gets written. That's how the truth gets written. And Claire Fox, how free is she for all of her debates on freedom, intellectual debate? She says she doesn't believe in a ban on child pornography on the internet because it would affect her freedom. Because she doesn't know that the child deserves freedom too. And that's what it's all about. It's about the abuse, Paradise Lost. It's about many things, but one of the things it's about is about the abuse and the twisting of the word freedom. Because who does not want to be free? But those fucking shameless assholes involved in the culture war, involved in stoking the fires of the culture war, are so perverse about their ideas of freedom that they could even find a way to charge you for the most abhorrent viewpoints the world has ever known in modern times. What she said, how could she say that? Most child porn is not child porn, it's simulated. That's your Baroness Claire Fox. And that's the kind of shit that Keir Starmer should be beating Boris Johnson over the head with every fucking day. You can't let a message like that drop. There are still enough parents in this world who care about their children and their fucking safety and their education and their dignity and all of this. There are still enough people who care about the elderly. There are still enough people who care about the truth. If you keep hammering this and leave this other fucking test and trace, why isn't there not somebody in Swansea had to go to Monmouth to get his? That's not it. People honestly aren't concerned about that. But you throw that shit out there. Who did you feel was so important in the name of Brexit to be elevated to the House of Lords? With what abhorrent viewpoints was she elevated to the House of Lords about children, especially, either the violation of them sexually or the murder of them in the case of the Warrington bombing? Hit him over the head with that every fucking day. Even if in vain, even if just to be that Old Testament prophet howling in the wind. Do it for that reason alone. I don't know, who am I talking to? So I'm not thinking about a show. I'm thinking about finishing this poem and going as off-grid as possible. And I don't really know what that means, but, survival. I'm thinking in terms of survival. Finish this poem because I feel called by God to do it. I felt called at the very beginning of the year to do this. Finish the poem. Get it out there for the world as a testament, as a snapshot, or whatever. It's so opposite to what this world is at the moment for so many reasons. It's about God and angels and heaven and hell, sin, all these things we don't care about anymore. But it's also about literature. On the other level, it's about literature. It's about something old. It's about something that requires concentration. It's about literature, excellence, merit. But it's also about length as well. It's not immediate. It has to do with time as well. It's not a quick shot. It's not a quick, hey, they liked my post about snowflakes. Yeah, look at it. They liked my post about snowflakes. It's about something bigger and longer. It's about taking your time with something, just like they took their time when they designed cathedrals back in the day, or when he painted the Sistine Chapel. About taking your time to make something excellent as the world is falling apart all around you. I'm paying homage to this poem. That's what I'm doing. And by doing that, I'm also, my girlfriend asked me the other day, her aunt wanted to know about this. Her aunt is looking forward to hearing it. And she said, what should I tell my aunt? And I said, sorry, aunt. I said, tell her I believe it's probably the first recording of Milton done by an actual believer. Because that's what I felt when I did my William Blake film. There are things that I probably would have changed. If I had done that William Blake documentary now, there's things I would have changed. Because I didn't realize that that aside from once the political correctness thing was taken over, I gave people the benefit of the doubt that this, what I've fucking seen this year, whether that's Andrew Sabisky, the Nazi in number 10, Dominic Cummings and Toby Young, eugenics and AI fetishization, the mutant algorithms of the Boris Johnson this shit from supposed conservatives, nothing but profit, the new statesmen. That's what they are. They're the new statesmen. Rising stars of the new right and all this shit. Idiots. Unprincipled morons. And it's a moot point anyway because they're actually not. Sorry, I got an ash on my hand. It happens here in the studio sometimes. So that's what I'm thinking about, man. I'm thinking get through all this and survive. And I want to mention that speaking of survival, I will survive. I'm not going to smoke forever because my patron Kathy sent me this Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking, and I'm going to start reading it in 2 days' time, so I'll be done on the 16th, because from what I understand is that you read the book, you smoke while you read the book, and by the end of the book, you don't want to smoke anymore. So my friends at Co-op, and I hope they're watching this, my friends at Co-op can no longer call me Mr. Rothmans. They'll have to call me Mr. Tea Cakes. I like Mr. Tea Cakes, I love that. So I hope I spend enough time on the culture war nonsense. I think most of you know what I'm talking about with the culture war nonsense. That the fact that they're still banging on about this. So that's what this closing sketch is all about. It's another one of those examples of I go off into a character or whatever. When the missus is around, and she'll take her phone and she'll just film me when I go off into a little trance. So I started with a geisha, and I'll end with a geisha, and it is about the culture war, and it's about when I see the I'll have one more cigarette with you, and then I've got to give it. This is supposed to be my day off, and I think I'm just gonna go to the sea and look at the sea. Well, I still can't before they put a mask on the sea. Can't see this anymore. They're going to lock us down again, aren't they? They're going to lock us down. We knew that was going to come. How did we know this? Everybody was saying October, and they are. Yes, we knew this. We knew this was going to happen. So here we are. We're all in this together. In the bad way. I'll have one more cigarette with you guys. These stories about the migrants. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know how the internet and the algorithms work and all that shit. But one of the things I've mentioned before that I like to watch protest when I'm eating. I have to watch something while I'm eating. Sometimes I'll look lockdown protest and I'll filter and go upload date, and see what the latest ones are, whether that's Melbourne or Detroit, wherever they're having them in the world. I don't think Detroit's had one, but there was one in Edinburgh. And I'm sorry I didn't have a chance, Robert, again, to plug that. But there'll be one in London again on the 26th, Trafalgar Square. And again, if anybody's driving up. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh, fucking hell, man. Why I got half in my head now? What the fuck was I talking about? Let me regroup. Hold on. Oh, it's funny, every time I press pause, I look around like somebody else is in the room to say, where was I? And they're not there. The migrants. So I'll put on a lockdown protest. And you know how it says up next? I've noticed this. It doesn't matter if I'm watching James Corbett or Vernon Coleman or just a lockdown protest from Keene, New Hampshire. It doesn't matter. Always up next. It'll either be Sky News or some stupid shit about woke stuff. Like those, which I'm convinced those idiots made up that word. I'm convinced the fucking spiked in the Battle of Ideas people made up that word woke. Right? They're saying, I don't know, who knows who invented what, but it's about keeping everybody dumb. And not aware of what Claire Fox and her ilk have said about pedophilia, for example, the IRA, jihadi videos, and all their other broad, expansive ideas of freedom, like Satan does. Freely taste. You've got all this Eden in the world, but how would you like to torture yourself? How would you like to know what guilt is? Eat of the fruit and really be free. Be so free that you enslave yourself. That's what it's all about. Be so free that you enslave yourself to barbaric, apathetic, stupid, atheistic ideas. Or the idea, like the guy says, I just went through every Jewish person I knew and how much money they made, and I compiled a list. Now, I've got nothing against Jews. No, you're just obsessed with them. You're very obsessed. You collect all the trading cards, just like they do in Black Lives Matter. You get all the race cards, you put them all together, and you make your theory, right? And it doesn't matter if I'm watching James Corbett, Vernon Coleman, whatever. It'll either be Sky News or one of these migrants crossing the channel. And Nigel Farage talks about migrants crossing the channel. And people like me are looking around and think, this is just show and tell, because obviously this country doesn't own itself. Or unless, am I mad? This country does not really own itself. Because it's making decisions on what people should wear and what they should inject in their body without actually either consulting the people or coming up with these ideas on their own. So who cares anymore? Who cares about Brexit? Who cares about, they say they're breaking the law now with this Brexit thing, like some lawyer resigned, but like, what's the difference? They break the law all the time. Like, Brexit, non-Brexit, what's it matter? What does it matter? And here they are, just the same old thing, like the world just kept on going from 2019. The scales didn't fall from their eyes. What the fuck? What do you mean sovereignty? Sovereignty how? Do you see anything sovereign with the state of the world right now? People can be very obtuse. Very obtuse. So what's the concluding thought? Well, I'm going to lead into this sketch. So if you're on the culture war train, I would recommend getting off. It's not about principles. It's not about freedom. We are the human race. And don't let anybody sell you short. Because in the olden days, everybody ate a lot of gravy. In the olden days, a roast was only 3 penny. Olden days. Till Satan came along and said, inject this. It'll have all your information on a microchip. Anyway, hope you enjoy this sketch. God bless you all. Good night. And if you are interested, patreon.com/Franken. Thank you to Alexander and to Robert for their protest mentions. Again, the 26th of September. And I believe the site was stopnewnormal.net. Please visit that, as I will later, and check out that petition. And thank you, as always, to the good mother and son at my local co-op. God bless you, and good.
You can't find any truth in it, let alone a needle. We're living in a two-Britain society. How many times you got in the street, you see two of everything? 2 people, 2 cars, 2 houses. That's what they've done to us. The Britain people. I'm a Britain people. And that's why I'm encouraging everybody to join the new Brexit, Freedom UKIP party. Bring them all together. Because they don't hear us in Westminster loud enough. They're trying to put boats in the river. Each boat will contain 4 migrants. Each migrant themselves will be carrying a little toy boat with toy migrants inside it, coming here to sell their toys to our children, our native born British children. Like our children Like, we can't build in this country little toy boats with our own little toy British people inside them. That's what it's all about. That's why they let them come in day after day after day after day after day. I've got a mate lives on the English Channel. His name is Scuba Joe. He sees every day, midway through, we know where Calais meets Dover. Not directly, but they're separated with a channel. Halfway through, between Dover and Calais, is she's like a little woke snowflake. I think she got them from feminine school somewhere. Sits out there on what's called a buoy, a little floaty thing. And she just waves him along, gives him Brussels sprouts, waves him in. And over on the other side, Nigel Farage, the only decent man in the UK as far as I'm concerned, besides myself and my best friend Tim and my family, only decent man is out there on the other side saying, whoa, 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 turn back you fucking tossers. And they laugh at him. They say, there's old Nigel Farage, what does he know? He's not worth a tuppenny stone. He's not worth half the dust in the dustman's bin. No, Nigel Farage. I'll tell you what, I lay down my wife's life for Nigel Farage, I would do. That man has served his country well. He was a banker, did you know that? People say, what was he know? He don't know nothing. He's just all thicky, is he? Yeah, well, you try asking somebody who doesn't know how to be a baker. Ask me, go on. What's that? How do you be? I don't know. I'm not a banker. I know Nigel Farage was. So what? I know what it's like to be. Look, I'm good with fees. They call it my wings. Right? Used to do a little East End, stepping in, craze, Frankie Man Fraser, Frankie Cray. Yeah? Did all that. That's what I use. That's why I'm a bit muscle. Right? Nigel's the head man. He's there. Used to be a banker on the channel. He's doing the calculations. He's going, wait, 14 migrants a day times 200 migrants a day. That's 300 migrants every week. Next on top of 400 migrants. Every month, 16,000 migrants over a course of 2 years. That's 75 million migrants. He's doing all them computations out there on the channel as he sees them rolling in wave after wave of migrant. Well, I don't care about masks and vaccines. Give me both. I don't care. Health is health. I don't care. Vaccines, I'll do it all. I'll do the chip in my head. I don't care. I'm talking about boats of people. You hear me? You're looking at Nigel Farage is out there. He's doing all them calculations because that's the banker man's head. That's the bank, and that's what we need. A banker man's head. Because they will laugh. The Guardian will laugh. The Guardian will look at you and they'll sneer and they'll say, oh, we know how to use a debit card. You don't. We say we do. We got Farage on our side. Where'd he go? Farage? Nigel? Where'd Nigel go? Nigel?
I'm the inflatable Nigel. I'm the inflatable Nigel. I'm the inflatable Nigel.
Who cares? It's a different world.